You're broke and useless." Her voice still echoes in my skull like broken glass rattling inside a metal can. "You're broke, useless, nothing." She screamed it as if the words could strip the marrow from my bones, her hands hurling my clothes into the street like trash bags. People watched, neighbors stared. I didn't fight back. I didn't beg. I simply stood there, silent, still, letting her see only the surface of me. Inside, something colder was writing notes, cataloging every detail, the way her face twisted with hatred, the sudden lack of hesitation, the relief in her eyes as if she had been waiting to discard me. I remember the weight of my jacket hitting the wet ground, the sound of a button cracking against concrete. It wasn't just rejection, it was execution. I didn't move, I didn't argue, but I memorized the scene. I let it carve itself into me. And when the front door slammed, leaving me outside in the night's damp air, I whispered only one sentence to myself. "She's not done yet. Something else is coming." I was right, because the very next morning, a black Rolls-Royce pulled up to the same house. She opened the door and collapsed when they handed her the papers. It began with small fractures, things I almost ignored. A late phone call she silenced too quickly, a locked screen she always turned away from me, the perfume that didn't smell like hers when she came back from errands. At first, I forced myself to believe the lies, to believe I was simply paranoid, that maybe stress had turned me suspicious. But lies have a rhythm. They start to repeat, circling the same safe phrases, stitched together too neatly. "You're imagining things. Stop being insecure. Don't you trust me?" Trust. That word became a blade. The truth was simple. She wasn't angry because I had no money. She was angry because I was no longer useful to her plans, because I had become a dead weight in her perfect little narrative. I started noticing the details she didn't hide well, the smiles she reserved for her phone, the softness in her voice when she answered a text, the sudden nights she claimed she needed space. My silence fed her confidence. She thought my passivity was weakness. She mistook stillness for submission. But silence was my weapon, and I sharpened it every night. I began with her phone bill, numbers that appeared too often, calls at odd hours, always the same name, hidden under something innocuous. Linda. I smiled at that. She thought disguising him as a woman's name was clever. She didn't know I memorized her patterns. Then came the private investigator. One meeting, one handshake, one envelope of cash I had been saving in secret. 2 weeks later, the photographs arrived. Her, him, together in a hotel lobby, together in restaurants I once took her to, together in the car I helped her buy. Each photo was a nail hammered into the coffin of what I used to believe was love. Still, I never confronted her. I kissed her cheek when she came home late. I listened when she fed me excuses. I even apologized for doubting her. Inside, the storm only grew stronger. I ordered DNA tests too, quietly, carefully. The child she swore was mine had my eyes, she said. My laugh, she insisted. But doubt had already taken root. And when the envelope came, heavy with truth, I waited before opening it. I wanted to savor the moment, because I already knew what it would say. The paper shook in my hands only once when I first unfolded it. Then I froze, read the lines slowly, let the words burn into me. Probability of paternity, 0%. My son, my blood, my legacy, a stranger's. When she came home that night, she found me sitting in the dark, one light on, the report resting on the table. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I only asked, "Whose child is he?" Her face drained white. Her lips trembled. The denial came quick, desperate. But then her eyes flicked down at the paper. She knew I already had the truth. She collapsed into tears, choking on apologies. I remained still, watching her unravel. Each sob was music, each broken plea, confirmation. I felt nothing, only clarity. The next morning, the Rolls-Royce arrived. Lawyers stepped out, sharp suits and colder eyes. She thought they came for me, perhaps with debt collectors, repossession, some punishment for my failures. Instead, they asked for her by name. I stayed behind, leaning against a tree, watching. They handed her a thick folder. She opened it, read the first page. Her knees buckled, papers spilled across the porch. Divorce filings, custody terms, property transfers. Evidence of her infidelity laid out in black ink. Every photo, every report, every lie. She screamed my name. I didn't move. She stumbled toward me, mascara streaked, hands shaking. "You can't do this! You need me! We can fix—" I cut her off with silence. One look, cold, detached. And then I walked away. I never returned to that house. The clothes she threw into the street still smelled of damp concrete when I packed them into a bag. That was all I carried forward. Fabric stained with humiliation, now hardened into armor. She will wake tomorrow with lawyers at her table, with papers she can't undo, with a child that isn't mine, and a life crumbling in slow motion. As for me, I am weightless. I don't need revenge to taste sweet. I only need truth to burn clean. And when I closed the door of the cheap apartment I rented that night, I whispered the final line of my story. Not to her, not to the world, but to myself. I was never useless. I was patient.